So much of my world today is focused around geospatial AI. I'm fascinated by its evolution. I'm very directly involved in its implementation. But I've pondered articles and pieces that have been written which are focused really around the machine learning part of that world. That is predictions, that's pattern recognition, that's object detection, etc., etc. That seems to be the most popular place that geospatial AI is being applied. Now, Nadine Alameh at the Taylor Geospatial Institute wrote a really interesting LinkedIn article, which I'll link to above or below this post, really talking about, and I agree with her, on the power of generative AI. So I think a lot of times people don't fully understand that the AI world, it is certainly complicated, but the real revolution that's happened in the AI world is generative AI. And its history is relatively short. It's actually, Google came out with a transformer model about 5 years ago. That's what OpenAI suddenly jumped upon and started developing. So we've heard the first talk about generative AI out of OpenAI and ChatGPT. So there's been a load of others that have jumped into that space and started building out these LLMs. And so we see this world now where we have the ability to do the things that machine learning can do and to do the things that generative AI can do. And you'll ask the question, so what's the difference? In simple terms, where I think a lot of the geospatial world's focused is around this kind of predictive stuff where they'll train models and it'll be, you know, we've just recognized in that satellite image that that's a house, for example. So it'll be trained on lots of different houses and it'll say that's a house. You've seen the classic cat versus dog, feed a picture and it'll know cat versus dog. So machine learning, pure machine learning is really good at that kind of thing. But where we've got another level of intelligence is from generative AI, because generative AI gives us the ability, or is a model which can learn, most importantly, and it can give us new information back. So we can ask questions of generative AI and it'll go and think them and give us an answer back. In the LLM world, in the ChatGPT, Claude and other worlds, that means we'll ask a question and instead of having to do a Google search, it'll go out, take all the information it's learned from, mostly from the internet, and give us back an answer. That starts that whole world of opportunity to discover new things, to ask new questions, to have data in the background where we can simply provide a question and it'll do all the calculations, bring all the right data in the background and give us an answer. Now that's incredibly powerful when one thinks about that. I think one of the biggest challenges of geospatial is the fact that it's very complicated. We have complex tools like QGIS, ArcGIS Pro, etc., where you've got to be an expert to get an answer out of it. What we're talking about with generative AI is the ability to ask a question. I usually use site selection. Where's the best location for a Starbucks in Salt Lake City today? That's a complex process in the background, and you need to know how to use GIS software to do it. But in the future, we'll simply ask an LLM, for example, to give us that answer. And its output might be a map, it might be a 3-dimensional digital twin, it might just be an address. But it's going to be able to ingest that question from anybody, experts and non-experts, hide all the complexity and give us back the answer. So I think that the geospatial world is and credit to Nadine and some others who are talking very specifically about applications of generative AI. I think the real future of geospatial is the application of generative AI. Sure, we'll have machine learning and some of the other stuff on the back end, but that access point to answer these complicated questions in an easy way is going to be what really brings geospatial to the much broader world. I'll cover more on this because I think this is a really important topic, but let's close it out there. If you've got any questions or any feedback on this one, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching.